Hi everybody, Ash here for the Golds and Blues Supporters Club Ireland podcast, and welcome to another video. And as you can see there in the title, this is called Premier League Making the Corruption Up As You Go Along. And I hope you are enjoying your couple of weeks off without everything taking away the fun of a weekend, without losing a game or drawing a game. But obviously we're always be still in the news because of what's happening off the field. And things took a turn of events, some time ago. Obviously, we all know about the 10-point deduction that Everton were handed for their breach of PSR rules. We then obviously successfully appealed that. Obviously, not we, the fans, but obviously the club appealed that, and it reduced to 6 points. And guys who obviously watch or listen to my podcast will know that I speak a lot of Cam, who was from the Mighty Blues, and he made a very, very quick TikTok video the other day about the whole Nottingham Forest situation, because recently Nottingham Forest have been not 10 points, not 6 points, but 4 points. They've had 4 points deduction for PSR rules. Now, Cam brought up a very, very good point the other day, that after our appeal, now I haven't seen the paperwork on this, but apparently he put up a little notification on the bottom of the screen that basically after our situation was used to 6 points, the Premier League had made that the benchmark, that for further issues, that will be the benchmark will be 6 points. Then why do you say does Nottingham Forest only get 4 points deducted? And that annoyed me, and I had still to this day, and this is now, we're now into Thursday, the week after, and I'm still annoyed at it. And even at Sky Sports, they can't even just, they're talking amongst themselves, and they can't even say why, what's the difference between Nottingham Forest getting it and Everton getting different points. And here's the scenario, guys. Okay, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. It says it here on the thing there. This league is corrupt. Forget about it now. This league is 6 teams, and the other 14 are benchmark teams that, we're training teams. We're just there to make up the numbers. It's clear as day now. And obviously, some people say, well, why are you only picking on Everton? I've actually had a thought, and so have others in different shows and podcasts, that who are one of the biggest Premier League sides that went against the Slimy Six, as they were called then, going into this so-called big Super League? Everton were, if not the biggest, but one of the biggest. And how are they treating Everton since then? And let's be clear here, guys. Everton, founder members of the Football League, with a few other clubs. Who knows what could have happened to this so-called the biggest league in world football, going from the first division, mutating itself into what we now know as the Premier League. Everton were. And we haven't been subjected to hell, it seems, ever since. And if you think about it, if you have a different dimension of what the Premier League is, at the moment now, this is like what they're wishing for, a European Super League. It just doesn't have the other European teams gone into it. So the Premier League getting their 6. So now it is a 6-team league. And all the rest of it, and then they'll bolster towards the end of the season. They'll bolster up things. You'll see things like, you'll see more Sheffield United games. Maybe you might even see more Everton games. You might see more Luton games, because they want to, excuse me for the bells, you'll bring in the revenue from relegation games. And I say, well, no, that's not fair. No, every team gets their fair share. No, they don't. No, they don't. There's always generally, on the Super Sunday, there's usually a top 6 side. Then, as I said, getting towards the end of the season, you see a few relegation games. And I'll cast your minds back to the season where COVID kicked in. Okay? Now, I can't remember the exact order of games that it came in, but the last game that didn't get played in the end because of COVID when it kicked in, Everton had 3 Sunday games in a row. And you go, but that's you're saying that it's unfair in the other teams. We had the 3 Sunday games in a row, and then the Monday night would have been the derby, and the derby got stopped when COVID broke. But what were the 3 teams that we were going to play on those Sundays? Chelsea, top 6 side. Arsenal, top 6 side. Manchester United, top 6 side. And then we would have had Liverpool. So those are the 3 games. I can't remember, but COVID kicked in and we didn't. So it wasn't the fact that, we're going to give Everton all these games. It's not, because we were playing in a row top 6 opposition. If we weren't playing any of those games in a row, you wouldn't have seen us on Super Sunday. Not a chance in hell. But now, going back to this whole points deduction, We were screwed over 10 points when we know that you get 9 points for the club going into insolvency. So that was a screw job from the start. Yeah, that clown Masters, small club. He's obviously not a football fan. He's not a massive big football fan. He's a businessman, and that's all he cares about. He cares about the revenue that comes from the other clubs. Now, breaking down the points. Everton were 19.5 over on their spending on PSR. Okay? Everton went to the Premier League to say, okay, guys, we believe we're very close to this. And they asked for assistance. And the Premier League asked around and asked around and asked around until it was too late. And obviously, Everton broke the rules. And no one will ever, from a fan base, will ever turn around and say, no, the club didn't do wrong. We all know the club did wrong. We all know how bad the club has been managed over the last number of seasons. Okay? But so 19.5 million was our problem. You get 10 points reduced to 6. But Nottingham Forest, it's over 30 million. And they get 4 points. Work that out, Maestro. So all of this in the head office in the Premier League, when it came to us, they went, okay, everything broken PSR rules. What do we do? And they went, 10 points. And then with Forest the other day, oh God, we need to get some pals here now. Maybe just do 4. And this is why there's no benchmark. There's still, even though they said from our situation, there's going to be a benchmark going forward. There still isn't a benchmark. Still isn't a benchmark. They're just making it up as they go along. And us as Everton fans, most of us, I think, can honestly say that we're quite truthful in the way. Like we know our noisy neighbours across there in Anfield. We'll always say, okay, we have the situation where if the situation was reversed, would we love to see what happened to them? Me personally, from the city of Liverpool point of view, I've said this before and I'll say it again. As long as they didn't win anything, I don't want to see them relegated. Now, lots of Liverpool fans seem to say, Everton get what they deserve and get them relegated. The city will not be the same if you don't have the two sides. So I've said before, as long as they don't win anything, I'd be happy. I will be happy. Now, let's be truthful here, guys. If you still don't believe that the Premier League is corrupt, you need to give yourselves the biggest wobble in the world. It's gone so bad now. Me likes of doing this podcast that I do, regardless of the listenership that I get doing these videos, mine is quite small compared to the big guys that are out there. I do this for our supporters club, and as long as they want me to do it, I do. But there's been times now where I come home, take out the equipment, and start to record, and I go, why bother? Because the league is corrupt. And if you want any further information, even though I was celebrating, don't get me wrong, I'm going to be truthfully honest here, I was sitting in my local watching the City Liverpool game the other day, and it came to a draw. You're blowing your whistle, you're going, yes, gives the other teams. But when you think about it, that was a clear penalty, getting kicked in the chest. Liverpool should have had a penalty at the end of that game, possibly go on and win it. They go a couple of points clear, but the Premier League didn't want that, because if they keep it as a 3-horse race, bigger revenue, guys. You may as well just. I like watching the wrestling. Always have as long as I can remember. As like in the Hulk Hogan days, as long as a kid, it may as well just be called that. It's scripted. It's well scripted, and it's like to say, okay, in this match, this is the score we're going for. In this match, this is the score we hope for. But we're going to have a plan C just in case something happens. So in case of, let's see, a big injury comes to one of the players that they can't not give it the penalty, that's the scenario that they'll have to go with. So there's a situation there where they'll cover themselves. But all they did in that game was made sure that game finishes the draw. They keep it interesting for the other teams. You go to the finances of the stadium. Okay, Everton haven't won anything for whatever so many years, since 95. In my lifetime, Spurs haven't won anything. But how are they able to finance their big stadium? And there's no issues over that. So how come they are not in trouble with PSR? We all know that the problems going on with Manchester City and Chelsea. They won't own up to things, and they still won't own up to things till after August. And why August, do you say, Ash? Because the rules change in August. When the rules change in August, it won't be points deduction, it'll be fines. And the fines will be so low that clubs like Everton, anyone outside the top 6, will have an issue trying to pay those fines, where Manchester City and Chelsea will just write it off in the book, no problems asked. You may as well stick it in a brown envelope. That's what's happening there. People say, well, then what happens to Liverpool? Well, I don't think Liverpool are in trouble with PSR, because if you go truthful through their dealings, watch what they've done. They might spend big on one big player, but if you look at the books, there's 3 players have gone out with the equivalent of money. So those owners, even though some Liverpool fans might not trust them, or believe in their real interests in keeping the in the success of their club. But the bottom line is they seem to keep their books in order. So I can't see Liverpool. I could be wrong. I can't see Liverpool being in that trouble. But Manchester City, if this is not a corrupt league, they should be screwed out of existence. So should Chelsea, possibly Spurs. I don't know too much about Arsenal because, truth be told, they didn't see that they were spending a lot more money before they got the Emirates. And since they got the Emirates, their spending didn't seem to be anyway as high, even during the latter days of Arsene Wenger. So they've obviously got their books in order over the years. But my God, this Premier League is corrupt. And the sooner the better that something changes. They kick all these high-profile guys out of the business, because that's what they're treating it as. It's not a football game. They've already ruined it themselves. They've ruined it by bringing in VAR. The only thing I'll say is the guy in Anfield Agenda. He was joking around about how VAR had screwed them over. They did screw them over on that day, but they have to remember the amount of decisions they got where the other teams were screwed over in the COVID league. So for them, it has worked both ways. Whereas the rest of us outside the top 6 just have seemed to be screwed over time and time again. And even the other week, even though we missed the penalty, I couldn't believe we actually got the penalty, because it was the first one given to us. They probably looked and said, Jesus, it's X so many hours since Everton got a penalty. We better give it to them to balance the books. But yeah, I'll leave it there, because I can't think anymore, because without getting really, really angry, that we go from 10 points to 6. Apparently they set the benchmark for PSR for a breach. That's 6 points. Then you have Nottingham Forest make the breach that was bigger than ours, but they get less points. And that's even without an appeal. They'll probably appeal and might get reduced to 3 points and 2 points. And some people are saying that if that happens, everyone should be going to a high court and saying, if that happens, we want the 4 points or the 6 points taken off as well. It's about time that something has to give now in this league. End of story. It's too much now, too much of a mess. And with the games coming up that we have, we really do need to pick up points. And some people say, okay, you feel sorry now for Luton. They're now being pushed down, but Luton are in a bit of a half decent run. They could get themselves back out and drag in Brentford in a few couple of hours. But it's up to Everton now. We need to get some points on the board, because I still believe this 6 points is coming up. Another 6 points, because I think it's in 2 to 3 weeks. Everton will find out about the other one. And if that goes to 6 points, God help the Premier League, because Everton, they'll let you know about it. If this happens again after 4, if we get 10 points to 6, they get 4 points. And if we get a 4 to 6 points reduction because of the second breach, God help you, Premier League. God help you. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to you again on another video, and keep tuned to Spotify when we have a preview of the next game. Till then, guys, stay blue as always. Take care.